your talks, people crying and breaking down. You're not breaking me today, Jada.
I've broken you enough.
It's friendship versus marital prison.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
You know, if you hang on, I promise we'll be able to be friends again.
But I don't care. I don't care. I thought I was gonna die. It was a weird. I always say, like, I have a life like Forrest Gump. Like, I'm always where the action is. I'm tried to hang out afterwards, but like, man.
This is my house, Jada. Don't start off like this. Don't start it like this, Jada.
Is it, you know?
We need to set some rules right now. No, Jada, because I'm not the one for this.
That right there is a man who has made up his mind. Not about the slap, not about the apology, about something much bigger than both of those things. Because when Chris Rock rejected that apology, when he looked at it and walked away, it was not out of pride. It was not for the cameras. It was because he already knew what was behind it. He already knew what kind of marriage that slap was defending. He already knew what Will Smith was actually protecting that night. And once you know what he knows, you would have walked away too. This is the story Chris Rock is not legally able to tell you directly, but he has told it in every interview, every special, every time he has addressed that night in the spaces between the words. Today, we are filling in those spaces.
Every fucking knows, yes, it happened. I got smacked like a year ago. I got smacked in the by this motherfucker. And people like, did it hurt? It still hurts. I got summertime ringing in my ear. Drums, please. But I'm not a victim, baby. You will never see me on Oprah or Gayle crying. You will never see it. Never gonna happen. I couldn't believe it, and I love Men in Black. No. It's never gonna happen. No. That hit like Pacquiao, motherfucker. I took it like motherfucking Pacquiao, okay? Man.
Understand what he is saying here. He is not saying he was not hurt. He is not saying what happened was acceptable. He is saying he refuses to be the story. He refuses to let the media turn him into a wounded man who got slapped by a bigger star and went home crying. Because that narrative, Will Smith as the powerful protector, Chris Rock as the unfortunate casualty, only works if you do not know what Will was actually protecting. Chris Rock knows, and that knowledge is exactly what makes his rejection of that apology so deliberate, so final, so loaded. Think about it from his perspective for a moment. You are standing on that stage, a man walks up and hits you, and in the days and weeks that follow, as you start to understand the full picture of what is happening inside that marriage, what has been happening for years, you receive an apology from a man who slapped you to defend a wife who had already told him to his face.
I've been watching all your talks, people crying and breaking down. You're not breaking me today, Jada.
I've broken you enough.
That apology means nothing. Not because Chris Rock is cold, not because he is unforgiving, but because he understands something that took the rest of the world much longer to see. Will Smith did not slap Chris Rock to protect Jada. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock because it was the one moment in 20 years that he felt like he had control over something. And once you understand the world that Will Smith has been operating in, the rooms he has been in, the people he has been photographed with, the circles he has never publicly acknowledged, that slap starts to make a very different kind of sense.
A trove of depraved footage showing Will Smith and other household names in Epstein's Island has surfaced, and the fallout could be catastrophic. We're talking about pagan rituals with satanic influences, child abuse out in the open, and for some of the unlucky children, it was more than just abuse, it was child sacrifice. The footage, captured by Hollywood actor Kevin Spacey and later mirrored on the dark web before being seized by the authorities, blows the cover wide open. And we have it. High definition, unaltered, verified. The elite are determined to keep us in the dark, victims silenced, whistleblowers discredited, digital breadcrumbs wiped clean, and official files released with redactions protecting the guilty, not the victims. But as the outgoing FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said, if you wait for the government to tell you the truth, you'll be waiting forever. He's right. That's why we're doing this. We have the 4K footage showing Will Smith and other household names on Epstein's Island. And not just visiting, engaging in acts that will bring the entertainment industry to its knees. This is dangerous territory. That's why it was entrusted to us. We're the investigation team they couldn't kill. The same researchers who first exposed Pizzagate before the media gaslit the nation. The ones who decoded the Podesta emails while the world laughed.
Will Smith has been one of the most protected names in Hollywood for a very long time. And in this industry, that kind of protection does not come for free. There are rooms you have to enter, circles you have to move in, relationships you have to maintain, regardless of what happens inside them. And for years, Will played that game better than almost anyone. But here's where it starts to unravel.
I ain't been nowhere near that man. I ain't did none of that stupid shit. Whenever y'all hear it, if somebody say that, it's a damn lie. I don't even like baby oil. But I haven't said that publicly. I just said y'all the first time. I usually don't respond to dumbass stuff because it's like people. It's so many things people say, so much stuff. But you know that one, it was your memes was doing too much. Y'all was having me mad.
He says he was not involved. That is his right to say. But Will Smith has been photographed at Diddy's events, not once, not twice, repeatedly. And the same names that circulate around those events appear in the same conversations, the same circles that eventually led investigators to far darker places. Now, you might be thinking, even if Will attended those parties, that does not automatically connect him to anything else. And that is a fair point. But here's what makes it harder to dismiss. The people at those parties and the people documented around the Epstein network were not two separate crowds. They overlapped significantly. And then there is this dial all the way back to 1997, Will and Jada's wedding. Look at the architecture of that venue. Look at what it was modeled after. Look at what it echoes. You will draw your own conclusions.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to talk about something really important. Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who is huge in the industry. So I was excited, proud of myself for getting the opportunity. Unfortunately, some things happened, and I can't get into the details of exactly what that was, because it's already a legal issue right now. But the reason why I'm speaking out about this is because getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that, simply for reporting conduct or safety threats at work, is not okay. And I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have been afraid to speak up, and I understand. And if that's you, I see you. And that's pretty much it.
This is the version of Will Smith that Hollywood built, carefully, deliberately. A man whose image was so clean, so universally beloved, that anything said against him bounced right off. But images are constructed, and what gets constructed can always be taken apart. The question was never whether this image would crack. The question was always what would be underneath it when it did. And we are about to show you exactly that.
For whatever reason.
So what happened, Jada?
Okay, so let's start with, I guess about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Started a friendship with August. Mm-hmm. And we actually became really good friends. Mm-hmm. And it all started with him just needing some help. Mm-hmm. Me wanting to help his health, his mental state.
Because for me, that was the thing when Aug first came around, he was really sick.
He was really sick, yeah.
And the outpouring for him from our family was initially about his health.
Yeah. And we found all those different resources, mm-hmm. To help pull him through. Mm-hmm. And from there, you know, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided.
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
Marriages have that, though. Marriages have that.
Yeah, we basically, we broke up.
We decided that we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy.
Well, at that particular point in time, it was indefinite.
Yeah, I really felt like we could be over. You know?
We were over.
And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, you know, I think from there, you know, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August. And one thing I want to get clear about and clean up, one of the things that was kind of swirling in the press about you giving permission, which is, you know, the only person that can give permission in that particular circumstance is myself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But what August was probably trying to communicate, because I could actually see how he would perceive it as permission because we were separated amicably.
Yeah.
And I think he also wanted to make it clear that he's not a homewrecker, which he's not.
I think, so, I mean, because this is your red table and you like brought yourself to the red table. I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened.
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship, absolutely. I was in a lot of pain.
Now let her talk, because this is the moment that Jada Pinkett Smith sat down at her own table, in her own home, on her own show, and told the world about her husband's affair. Except she did not call it that. She never calls it that. Listen to the language she uses. She was on a break with Will. August is not a home wrecker. They were just friends at first. Things turned physical after the break. She is her own person. She does not need permission. Every single one of those words is doing a job. And the job is distance. Distance from guilt, distance from accountability, distance from the simple, uncomfortable truth that she made a choice, and Will was not part of that choice at all. She says she did not have his permission, and then in the very next breath, she tells you she did not need it, which means she did not ask, which means she did not think about him enough to ask. That is not a break. That is not an entanglement. That is a wife who had already decided, long before August Alsina, that her husband's feelings were not the priority.
Will and I are very relaxed with one another, you know, and I think because, you know, from how I've answered questions of, girl, you know, what would you do if he came home and this and that, or, you know, being married to a big superstar like Will, how do you deal with other women? And my answer is always, I've always told Will, you can do whatever you want as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror and be okay.
Wow.
Okay? Because at the end of the day, Will is his own man. I'm here as his partner, but he is his own man. He has to decide who he wants to be. And that's not for me to do for him. Or vice versa.
I was gonna say, does that go to?
Absolutely.
This is 2013, 3 years before any of this happened. Listen to how she talks about being a responsible partner, about thinking before you act, about being the kind of person who considers the other person in the relationship. She sounds completely certain, completely self-aware, like someone who has genuinely figured out what love requires. The entanglement with August happened in 2016, so somewhere between this interview and that hotel room, that version of Jada disappeared entirely. Or, and this is the harder question, was this speech only ever directed at Will? Was he the one who needed the lesson in responsibility? Was she always the exception to her own rules? Because one of those two things has to be true, that they work through everything, that they are completely honest with each other. And Will has said the same thing, proudly. It is evidence of how solid they are. But here is the contradiction nobody ever points out. If you truly work through everything, if you are completely honest, if no issue goes unaddressed, then why did Jada have to sit down at a table on camera and tell Will about August in front of millions of people? Why was that the first time he found out? Where were the 4 hours then?
But it almost seems like Will Smith is finally waking up because their marriage is clearly miserable, which is why it's not that crazy to see him getting freaky on stage with the singer India Martinez. Now these two got steamy on stage. They were all up on each other. They even seemed to kiss while on stage. You can also see pictures of India backstage jumping into Will Smith's arms like he isn't a married man. Wow. I mean, look at him looking at her. I mean, this is like the happiest I've ever seen him though. Truly. Oh. I wonder if she must not be scared of Jada. I would be. Now, a lot of people called Will out, saying it was inappropriate and that this was some of his worst behavior. Someone said it's like someone's dad is on karaoke with a drunk local woman. It's how Will forgot where he was and he went to put his arms around her. Someone else said that he's playing too much. Others disagree, saying, I don't care, his wife has embarrassed him how many times? Let that man live. He's been put through so much being with Jada. Now, if you don't know who India Martinez is, she does have some, catchy music. It was last reported that she was in a relationship with actor Ismael Vasquez, but she's no longer with him. I mean, she's pretty much Instagram official with Will Smith, posting pictures of them together, having some wine. People in the comments are calling them out. It looks like a little situationship going on here. Another person said they make a cute couple. Shame she already has a sentimental partner. So wait, is she still with Ismael? I mean, there has to be something going on between these two because they're hanging out so often and India wants the world to know.
No ronees tanto. No ronees tanto.
Ya lo sabe.
So it looks like Will Smith has himself a little sneaky link around. And even though Jada has cheated on him before with men who are super young, like half her age, this India kiss, this moment that he had on stage was supposedly the final straw. After years of rumors and speculation that Will and Jada's marriage is on the rocks and that the two were heading for divorce, another rumor has emerged. It looks like they're headed towards divorce again. Radar Online reported that the couple were quietly making arrangements to end their marriage.
I think with the Will Smith and Jada situation, I think this is what Will Smith needs, because we all see the happiness that comes with him doing this. This showed that he self-growth from certain things as a man, made good sacrifice, good decision in his life, right? So when you see the downfall when he was with Jada, right? We all saw the red table, the entanglement thing. You saw that he fit right with Will Smith, a lot of things. These are things where he sacrificed, right? Trying to prove the world that he's just a man that defends his wife.
And there is Will, saying all the right things, defending the philosophy, practically proud of it. Watch how comfortable he is saying this. It is evidence of how evolved they are, how unbothered, how secure. But here is what that comfort actually tells you. A man who is genuinely secure in his marriage does not need to announce it this loudly. He does not need to perform the unbothered. He does not need to go on record repeatedly, reminding everyone that he is fine with all of it. The performance itself is the tell, because behind every single one of those interviews, behind every carefully worded statement about freedom and trust and evolution, was a man who had already been told, in ways both spoken and unspoken, that the rules of this marriage were not his to write. He did not lose Jada at the red table. He lost her long before that. He just was not ready to admit it yet.
When Will's
Proudly, that they never let a conversation go unfinished, that nothing gets buried, that they are the couple that always finds their way back to each other. And maybe he believed that. But there is a very specific kind of man who talks about his relationship this much in public, who volunteers this information unprompted, who makes sure the world knows exactly how solid things are at home. That man is not secure. That man is managing a narrative. Because people who are truly at peace in their relationships do not need an audience to confirm it. They do not need the world to agree. Corey Holcomb is simply the one who said it out loud. You can weigh that however you choose. But it does not exist in isolation. And by the time this is over, you will understand exactly why it keeps coming up.
Will Smith and Jada, they've been open about they have an open relationship. But
Will like guys.
Huh?
Will like guys.
How you know?
I live in LA. Does that make sense to you?
No.
I live in Los Angeles. There's a lot of opportunities I don't get because the guys don't want me to see them with their boyfriends. And I've suffered from that. It's like everybody know anyway. Everybody know anyway. So I'm saying, like, do you think me saying we'll like guys, because I said it and I can't take it back.
Yeah.
Because I believe it. I know it for the most part.
Okay.
By me saying that, I hope it doesn't strike a nerve in anybody, but I'm saying I live in LA.
Yeah.
And there's a lifestyle that is kept quiet.
A secret society.
Yeah, and it's like people like me suffer from this lifestyle because of the shame that some guys have of how they like to move. And I don't think that however you move is something you should hold against me. I think it's unfair.
This is Brian King Joseph, a violinist, someone with no obvious reason to lie. Someone who, before any lawsuit was filed, sat down and spoke openly about what he experienced working in Will Smith's orbit. He says he was fired for reporting misconduct, for raising concerns about safety, for doing exactly what you're supposed to do when something is wrong, and he was removed for it. Now think about what it takes to speak up in this industry. Think about what you risk, your career, your reputation, your access to every room that matters. Brian King Joseph risked all of that. And he is not the first, and he is not the last. One person coming forward is an allegation. 2 is uncomfortable. 3, from 3 completely different corners of Will Smith's life, is a pattern that cannot be explained away with PR statements and carefully worded apologies.
I really didn't want to get married, but...
We only got married because Gammy was crying.
Well, Gammy, this is what happened. It was almost as if Gammy was like, you have to get married. So let's talk about the wedding. I was like, I never wanted to be married.
I don't remember that. I remember feeling very strongly and wanting you guys to be married. I do remember that.
Yes.
But I don't remember your rejection of the idea of marriage. I remember the rejection of the idea of a wedding.
I didn't want a wedding either.
She didn't want it,
I was like, I don't want to get married. And now Gammy done gone to Will crying about, I don't want to have a wedding. And now I'm being forced to have a wedding. When really, I just wanted it to be the 2 of us on a mountain, because I was like, this is serious business.
Yeah. Wedding was horrible.
It was a horrible wedding.
It was a mess. Jada was sick. She was very unpleasant. Wouldn't cope. She was sick. She didn't cooperate with
You were 6 months
anything.
pregnant.
They did not want to get married. Will Smith just told you that, in his own words. Go back to everything you have heard. Every speech about communication, every interview about trust, every public declaration about what their relationship means to them. And now hold all of that against this. They did not want to get married, which means from the very beginning, before August, before the red table, before the Oscars, before any of it, this was never the foundation it was presented as. Everything built on top of it was built on something that neither of them actually chose. And yet Will Smith has spent 20 years defending it, protecting it, performing it. For whom? So let us put this together. A marriage that neither of them wanted, maintained through 2 decades of performance. A wife who rewrote the rules without permission and delivered the news to her husband in front of millions. A husband who defended every single chapter of it so loudly, so consistently, that the performance itself became the confession. And underneath all of it, the same names, the same rooms, the same circles Will Smith photographed at Diddy's events, those same circles overlapping with the Epstein network, and a 1997 wedding venue that, when you look at it closely, was modeled after something that has since become very difficult to ignore. These are not accusations. These are connections. Documented, photographed, time-stamped. You were always free to draw your own conclusions. You were just never given all the pieces at the same time, until now. So here is what we want to leave you with. If a man spends 20 years loudly performing happiness in a marriage he never wanted, who was that performance actually for? For Jada? For Hollywood? Or for the rooms he needed to stay in? And if the one man who got slapped defending all of that chose to walk away permanently, what exactly did he see that the rest of us are still being asked to look past? And through all of it, the slap, the apology, the rejection, the refusal, one man never flinched, never played victim, never asked for sympathy. He just made his decision, and he stood by it. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real.